guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. For today's Koze channel video, I figured we would go through my 2019 reading list because this is a video that was highly requested last year, and this year I decided to go through my bookcase and basically navigate through the books that I already have and build my reading list based on not wanting to buy any new books. I feel like we've talked about this just a little bit already, but I'm trying to basically, just consume less and like be a little bit more of a conscious consumer. And most of the time around the new year, I would always like go out and buy a bunch of new inspirational books, and I'd buy a bunch of like new decor for my room and stuff. And this year I tried to work with what I actually already have and not buy anything new for the new year and go through the things that I already have and actually use them and actually bring life to them and purpose to them. And there's a reason why I purchased these books in other years, and there's a reason why I wanted to read them. And so either I have a plan to read them, so I should read them now, or I don't want to read them and I want to read something else. And if that's the case, then I need to be donating those books and giving them away. But that said, when I went to go through all of my books, I definitely found enough to fill up my reading challenge of 2 books a month for the year. Now last year I did this whole thing on Goodreads where you could set a challenge for the year of how much you wanted to read. So in 2018, I decided to read 2 books a month. I wanted them to be like, one would be a fiction and one would be a nonfiction, to give myself just 2 different worlds to kind of live in, which left me with 24 books at the end of the year. In terms of 2019, I don't want to necessarily read more just because I feel like that was the perfect amount of reading for the year based on how much other stuff I try and get done. So I'm doing the exact same challenge, 2 books a month for the whole year. Some of the months I picked a fiction and a nonfiction, but some of the months I picked books that I feel like will go just together really well. Kind of like motivate me and keep me inspired. They're like a good cycle of books and the types of books that I have. And I feel like the way that I paired everything together, it's just going to complement the year. I feel like this is a very supportive year for reading. I don't know, I'm excited to see how they manifest, how that knowledge manifests itself into the year. So, my big giant book stacks. And now I am going to give you guys my full 2019 reading list. And also I'll link the Goodreads down below too if you guys want to follow me on there and keep up to date on what I think about all these books throughout the year. So starting with January. In January, I am going to be reading The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll and Catcher. Now, the reason why I chose to read Catcher for January is because I've officially started mapping out just the whole storyline for Catcher 2, and I have the name for it, I have the concept of it, and I want to go through Catcher one more time and just basically sharpen all of the details fresh in my mind so that I'm not like missing anything or leaving anything out as I start to navigate into Catcher 2. I decided to do it with the bullet journaling method because bullet journaling is one of the goals that I want to take on, or it's one of those things that I've always wanted to explore. And I feel like even though I'm really loving my online planning system right now, I'm super intrigued by bullet journaling. I think that it can be super therapeutic. If I felt like mine was organized and pretty, I know that that sounds lame, but whenever I mess up in my bullet journal, I want to give up. So I want to read through this because I think it also just has really cool ideas in terms of learning how to organize your thoughts into tangible things to look at. I've read a few sections from this book already, and one of the things that I actually ended up doing on my computer was the 5-4-3-2-1 method, which is 5 years, 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, 1 hour. And it's like an easy way to break down all of your things that you kind of feel like are floating around in your head all the time and just be like, hey, now focus on the 1 hour and forget the rest. So February, I plan on reading these 2 books here. This is You Do You by Sarah Knight. I've talked about this in a past reading video of some sort, I'm pretty sure. Again, these are all books that I'm pulling from my bookshelves. These are books that I've purchased before and just haven't gotten around to reading. So this year I'm finally going to tackle this book, and I'm also going to read I Am Her Tribe. Now this is one that I purchased just this fall, but I feel like with February being Valentine's Day, it's also the month of my birthday, and I just feel like in terms of more fiction type style or artsy style, and then the You Do You is just a good I'm gonna be turning 25 and I want to be doing me in the best of ways. For March, I'm going to be reading Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. That is actually Lorelai from Gilmore Girls, and I want to read The Tree of Yoga. This is by BKS Iyengar. It's the world's most respected yoga teacher, the definitive guide to yoga in everyday life. So excited to read this book. I've peeked at a few pages in it. I actually was gifted this at my meetup that I hosted last summer in Toronto. So I want to read these books for March, and I also feel like they're just like pretty going into spring colors. So for April, I have Leave Your Mark by Eliza Licht, probably saying her name wrong, and The Power of Yes by Abby Hedon. April's gonna be a month that I'm not really reading a fiction because I feel like I'll be more so writing Catcher by that point, and I want to just be completely creatively into Catcher. So I decided to read two more of like supportive, like, lifestyle. Anyway, this one, Leave Your Mark, is how to land your dream job, kill it in your career, and rock with social media. One that I purchased, I think, back when I lived in my old apartment, but never got around to reading it. And then The Power of Yes, this is positive and practical advice to help you live the life to the fullest. So, April. For May, I want to read Enough About Love, which is a fiction that I picked up last year. It says Anna and Louise could be sisters, but they don't know each other. Both are married with children, and for the most part, they're happy in their relationships. On almost the same day, Anna crosses paths with a writer, Ives, and Louise meets Anna's analyst, Thomas. Their lives are unexpectedly turned upside down by the delicious and convenient arrival of love. Thought-provoking, sophisticated, and above all amusing, Enough About Love captures the euphoria of desire through tender and unflinching portraits of husbands, wives, and lovers. And then The Untethered Soul. I want 2019 to finally be the year that I read The Untethered Soul. So honestly, been meaning to read it for so long. Also, oh my god. This is a picture of my papa. I don't know why that was in there. He's rocking it on the guitar. It's been on my reading list for so flipping long. Like, I have no excuse as to why I haven't read this yet. And I feel like this is finally gonna be the year, and May just feels like the right month. For June, we're going very French. Simplicity. So this is by Dominique Leroux, and it's how to live more with less. So it's a minimalism book. And then Paris for One. I talked to you guys about this book before, but it's basically about a girl. She's 26 years old and she takes herself traveling to Paris. So a good little solo travel love story is always nice to start the summer. And then into July, I want to read Unplug and Eat, Move, Think. So I'm going to be in a super health mood apparently in July. I just thought again that these would pair nicely together, since one of them is about like how to eat right, how to move your body in the right way, and how to like think like happily, and then Unplug is all about meditation. I feel like that'll be just like a nice way to kind of really soak up the summer. I want to just be super present and just super healthy and taking care of my body and taking care of my mind. So July will be all about supporting that through what I'm reading. Which, moving into August, will be back into getting creative. I feel like because I start Youtober in August, I just like to read things that again make me feel just like super inspired to create things. So I'm gonna be reading Pillow Thoughts, which is another poetry book. Let the Elephants Run by David Usher. This is how to unlock your creativity and change everything. Now, when I initially bought this book, it was again back in my old apartment, but I bought it because it was recommended to me after I said I liked Big Magic. So if this has any kind of big magic to it, that's gonna be a perfect read right before Youtober. And to read it with poetry, again, just like a very creative August, which is always just like a soothing month because you're about to move into fall. For September, I have Legend and Placebo. So Legend is another one of the fiction books that I purchased quite a bit ago and never got around to reading it. I think it's like a dystopian style. And then You Are the Placebo. Is it possible to heal by thought alone without drugs or surgery? The truth is that it happens more often than you might expect. And You Are the Placebo, Dr. Joe Dispenza shares numerous documented cases who reversed cancer, heart disease, depression, crippling arthritis, and even tremors of Parkinson's disease by believing in a placebo. It's basically how using like the placebo effect on your mind, you can actually kind of like trick your life or trick your brain into seeing life a certain way that ends up creating and like manifesting a happier life for yourself. To which October, I am going to be reading The Voice of Knowledge by the same author who wrote The Four Agreements. I actually have read this book, but I read it so long ago. It was back when I went to Dominican with my sister, and I was kind of like just briefing through it when I was going through my books the other day, and it's one that I can tell I really want to read it this year. So I threw it into October and I put it with the program, which is going to be another kind of like dystopian story, one that I pulled from my bookshelf again, one that I've been talking about reading for so long and just again haven't gotten around to it. So I'm putting it on the list and I'm getting it done this year. This will be read. November, I'm going to be reading Foe because this just looks like a November book, and it's about, I'm pretty sure it's about aliens, which is really cool. And then DIY Rules for a WTF World, How to Speak Up, Get Creative, and Change the World. So again, I just feel like these are going to be nice, happy, or just supportive books to enter November in. And November is kind of like a good wind down of the year, to which I want to end my year reading the Monk Mokha and Hyper Focus. So I picked up Hyper Focus in the fall time, but again, I feel like this is something that I'm gonna want to go into January next year with a good, like, supportive, just anything that makes me inspired. And I feel like Hyper Focus is going to be a good way to end the year. And the Monk Mokha, this is one of those books that I picked up last year as well. There you guys go. That is going to be my reading list for 2019. And like I mentioned, if you guys want to follow along and see basically my thoughts and my progress as I go through the year, and hopefully, no, I'm not gonna say hopefully, because that's setting myself up for failure, definitely reading these books. I usually keep my Goodreads pretty updated, so check it out. I will link it down below. If you guys don't have a Goodreads account, it's basically just an account of keeping on top of like the books that you read. You can set challenges, you can follow people, you can get like books recommended to you. So yeah, I'm gonna be going through all my books on there. I'm excited that this year, it was just like a cool little challenge to actually create a new vibe for 2019, but using things that I already had. So these are all books that I've literally been carrying around with me, but I so easily would have just went and bought new books instead of reading the ones that I already intended to read. So I'm pumped to go through them all. I'm pumped to finally be able to say that these ones have been read through, and I'm excited to get all of this good recycled knowledge without spending any money. Aside from that, if you guys have a 2019 reading list, be sure to leave it down below. Tell me what you're reading. And aside from that, I love you guys to the moon and back. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Koze channel video, and I will see all of you guys next Sunday. Bye guys.